This ZeroNow program is brought to you with the support of our founding partners.
I'm just one person.
Determined
to bring us back to zero.
I'm just one person.
Determined
to bring us back to zero.
I am just one person.
Determined to bring us back to zero.
Hi, I'm Hannah Brody, and I'm a student correspondent with ZeroNow. Today, I'm talking with Brian Toolan, who is the Vice President of Education Safety for the company Intrado. Brian, can you tell us a little bit more about what Intrado does?
Sure. So Intrado, most people know us as the company that powers the 911 industry. So a little over 90% of North America is using our technology to connect to the 911 calls. Additionally, though, on a couple other sides of the house, we have our education, safety, utilities, and healthcare. So on that side, most people know us as School Messenger. School Messenger is the parent-teacher communication platform, but now we've also have a school safety platform specifically for all types of everyday incidents, including active shooter on campus.
That's super cool. So what made you so passionate about getting involved in Intrado and just in campus safety in general?
Yeah, so my career started back in the early 90s. I worked for the state of Connecticut and worked my way through the Department of Public Safety and Emergency Management and Homeland Security. Toward the end of that career, we had the Sandy Hook tragedy that happened in December of 2012. I was one person who was on site for a good portion of that, and really understood, as my kids were that same age at that time, that we have to do more to end violence in schools. There needs to be better preparation, there needs to be better attention, both to the mental health side of things that are going on, but also how we harden our schools and how we help to prevent violence going forward. So it was really something I did in the last few years of my career in Connecticut. And then as I moved on after retirement, it kind of felt like that was another piece that was still missing. I moved on to more of a public warning type of company with Everbridge, and then eventually said, you know what, I really want to focus back on the education safety. Intrado has a fantastic product that really helps make every second count, help reduce the time for responders. And because we're already tied into the 911 network, we have the ability to get information and more valuable information to responders faster, right? So that became a significant piece of why I came to Intrado.
So obviously, as you said, like technology is a big component of your job, and obviously technology is constantly changing. So how has technology continued to evolve and impact the campus safety aspect of everything you've done, and how do you see it impacting it moving forward?
Yeah, so good question. So one of the biggest things I look at is being able to do everything within one system. Right, so some of those small things that people don't think about, like reunification with Guardians, that should be something that's easy to do without having to get into paper modules and things of that nature, right? Because those are things that we're going to forget. As an incident happens, we all seem to forget that the mentality of a person responding or in that situation drops down to like a 3rd or 4th grade level. So you can't expect teachers and staff to remember to grab paper, to remember to grab go kits, to remember to grab those things when their stress level increases. So by using technology, you can help to remove some of those barriers. You can help to remove the things that they may not think about at that time. So with our technology, by increasing our capabilities within our system, but also understanding that the first person who's going to get that emergency call is a 911 operator, and that 911 operator needs to be able to have all the relevant information they can have right at their console, not going to other systems to log in to get additional information, because as we know, an active shooter incident typically lasts less than 5 minutes, so that time it takes them to log into another system or go look at another system is time that we don't have, right? So what our technology does now is gets that relevant information about the school campus, information about the emergency contacts, the ability to put them in touch with them directly. Those are all things that reduce the time to respond. When we reduce the time to respond, we're likely reducing the time of law enforcement getting on scene, neutralizing the situation, and ultimately saving lives.
Yeah, that's really powerful technology that makes you able to do that. So obviously that does a lot. And so you're saying that's like what it does now, or is that what you're hoping? So
No,
what
that's
do you
what it
hope
does
to?
now. That's today's version of technology, and of course, we're starting to think of next day's technology, right?
Yeah, I was
We're
gonna
not
say.
stopping. We have a great product team that's dedicated to this solution, and we're always evolving. We're staying, forward thinking on technology, understanding the trends, understanding the changes, and we're really on the forefront of making those changes. We're introducing new technology within the next couple months. That becomes even more of a game changer in the industry.
Yeah, so what are some things, if you like are able to say, like, and they can be as general as you want, that you hope technology can do to improve
Yeah.
the already like amazing software?
So some of the things we're looking at, is being able to provide this solution, regardless of anyone's specific needs. So we know, some people are on the fence over mobile apps. Some people prefer a wearable device versus a mobile app. Fine, right? We're going to produce a wearable device in the next couple months, that doesn't require constant charging, right? Because we know our end goal is to let teachers teach, right? And then let technology do what it needs to do to keep them and the children safe, right? So without them having to focus too much on technology, let them do their job. We're going to do our job. And together with them as a partner, we're going to make campuses more safe. So our wearable device is going to allow them, to be able to instantly connect to law enforcement, but also doesn't matter where they are. Most systems on the market, you have to be on campus. Well, what about a school bus driver? Right? There's fights that happen on school buses. There's bullying incidents that happen on school buses all the time. And those drivers, they're driving a bus. They don't have the ability to go log into their cell phone, make a phone call, regardless of applications. They don't even have the ability to make that phone call. So giving them technology that they can wear, where they can press a button to get, responders to come help them, again, helps wherever we are. What about field trips, sporting events? There's a lot of kids that go to, far distances for away games, that are off campus. Well, what happens if there's an emergency? How does the school know? So we've designed this technology to make sure the local public safety answering point always gets the proper information, but at the same time, the emergency contacts back at the school get the same information. There's a problem out there. A teacher needed to press and get assistance, and now they have the ability to contact that teacher.
That's so cool. So obviously technology poses a lot of problems because it's not always reliable. But with technology and anything else, like what are challenges you've had to face, either with this company or others?
Yeah, so that's huge. There's gaps everywhere. And being able to understand what those gaps are and close them as much as possible really helps. We don't focus on one singular technology, right? So when we're looking at things, we understand in some instances Wi-Fi is going to be fantastic. Schools invested a lot of money in Wi-Fi. The country's investing a lot of money in broadband. So being able to connect through Wi-Fi is great, but Wi-Fi is a single point of failure. So being able to connect through Bluetooth and other means as well as LTE. The LTE market is expanding with 5G. So being able to utilize FirstNet, which is a first responder, grade system, where schools are now eligible to be on FirstNet. So being able to take our technology and saying, look, we're not stuck on one single point of failure capability. We're broadening our horizon to make sure that all those potential gaps have overlapping failovers. So if you're on Wi-Fi and all of a sudden Wi-Fi kicks out, doesn't matter because you're still connected to cellular. Bluetooth, all of those are all in play at all times so that you have seamless transitions if something happens to drop.
Yeah, so my final question is actually, as we get older and as like my generation comes into play, what are things you hope we're able to accomplish? Because obviously, campus violence has only increased through our time at school, and so we're firsthand like, oh, we go to school, we're like, oh, are we gonna do the shooting today? Because I went to 3,000 person high school, so that was not off the table, and now I go to Ohio State, so definitely not off the table. And so I think what my generation just wonders is what is expected of us and what can we do, even starting now, to help out the cause of decreasing campus violence.
So it's a fantastic point. I mean, from generation to generation, I think one of the things we failed to focus on is how did we react when we were in school? I mean, you brought it up with being in school and thinking about that. My son is currently a junior in high school in a similar size school, about 3,500 kids, and that is top of mind. When I went to high school, we didn't think about that. It wasn't even a thought, and we still had 2,000 to 3,000 kids or more in that school. We thought of the other things like fights and those type of things. But as we evolve and as we continue to grow, we have to look at it. It takes all of us to change, right? We all have to make a concerted effort to end violence. We have to take a stand. We have to be able to report and not feel fearful of reporting. If we see something, we say something. That's a huge position that came out after 9/11 that we tend to not remember. All of the shootings have a documented history that people knew something was going to happen, but yet people didn't do anything about it. So we all have to stand up to it. We all have to take ownership to end violence in our schools. And it just takes us speaking up and being on that forefront of saying, I've had enough and I don't want to see anybody else die.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.